Hello and welcome to Network. My name is Phumelele Zondi with your technology and social media news. Remember to continue staying at home, sanitizing and wear those face masks in order for us to stop the spread of COVID-19. It's SABC Network on Facebook, Twitter and Instagram. News Network at sabc.co.za on email. This week, our Twitter poll is asking you about your favorite e-hailings. This as a Chinese e-hailing service, Didi, is said to be launching in Cape Town soon. Results of that are coming up later in the program. Firstly, here's what's coming up tonight. We go to Mdantsane, where they have a free Wi-Fi service. We find out about a report that says about 40% of South Africans who've had their data stolen online pay ransom. And in our conversation, we find out about a recent Facebook data breach. Let's start in Mdantsane in the Eastern Cape, where they are benefiting from a free Wi-Fi project. Producer Sandile Hlangani went over there.
Internet revolution is slowly transforming the way people in the township live and connect with the rest of the world. Today, we are here in Mdantsane Township in the Eastern Cape to meet with Luvuyo Mohambi, who provides internet connection and public Wi-Fi for this community. A year ago, when Luvuyo Mohambi launched Mdantsane public Wi-Fi, little did he know that a pandemic will radically change the world as we knew it and make the challenge we were hoping to tackle as a country of closing the digital divide even more pressing.
The pandemic, being it bad that it is has also serving as a wake-up call to all of us that we need to increase the uptake of digital services, because now you can see most of us or some of us, we now are forced to work from home, for example. So how will you work from home if you don't have a connectivity?
Amongst our country's largest townships, Mdantsane felt the brunt of COVID-19's impact severely. Many students around this township could not consistently access their schoolwork from home.
We encountered many problems in internet, but since we met them, after that we didn't experience any problems. As a result of that, we conduct our meetings, virtual meetings in the first classroom next to the office.
While government has said they are working tirelessly to bridge the gap, a public-private partnership is now building on those in-progress efforts with the goal of bridging the digital divide for its residents and local schools once and for all.
We've got a Wi-Fi network called Umdas Wi-Fi that the residents is here to use. They get to spend, they actually save quite a bit of money. The reason why we did this project was to bring down e-connectivity prices for people, especially people in disadvantaged areas, progressive disadvantaged areas like Mdantsane.
The goal is to shift the narrative and provide public schools, communities and businesses with access to affordable connectivity.
With the schools, we structure a project, a package where they get internet, uncapped internet. They get a phone, they get a hosting as well, so that each and every teacher can have an email address, a professional email address. Mdantsane is actually about to become one of the first townships to deploy internet using ETV white space technology.
Schools have become an important venue for internet use. Disadvantaged learners from Zanoki Kaya Primary benefited from this partnership.
It was as if we were in the outskirts of the city, because we didn't have computers for learners, and then we were able to apply for phablets or for computers for learners so that we can teach them, because right now we know and understand that the world we are teaching the 4IR generation. So they know even the smartphones better than us.
Local residents say having Wi-Fi networks in place present them with options they would normally not have.
I've got my sister who's in China and we video call each other every day and we speak on the phone for hours. So before we had Mdantsane Wi-Fi. I used to have connection problems. I'd be speaking to her and then I would have her not hearing me, or I wouldn't hear her. The video call would pause, or would be speaking and the connection would just cut.
It's convenient, it's reliable, it's next to me.
Luvuyo says his company is striving towards a township where every resident has access to affordable, high-speed broadband infrastructure and services.
When we started this project, it was just this area that we had connected to the internet for e-community. But it started expanding because its demand is so high.
Small businesses around the area are also taking advantage.
Everyone is going towards online. Fortunately, we were brave enough to dive into that period. Because we do have the app, and also we're encouraging a lot of our customers to order online.
CSIR says they are fully committed to turning the digital divide into a digital opportunity for all, particularly for those who risk being left behind.
So we're currently, you hear the big buzzword of 4IR, for example. Just one of the examples. 4IR is for you to achieve, or for a country to achieve it, you will need affordable connectivity solutions, or affordable broadband connectivity to almost everywhere and to reach every citizen.
So clearly, there's still a long way if we are to reap the full benefits of the internet in township economies like Mdantsane. Back to you, Siphumelele.
We certainly do need a lot more such initiatives in order to help people connect to the internet, as we still struggle with the high price of data charges. All right, now hackathons are usually a good way of finding new tech solutions that can help in many instances. We recently went to a health hackathon.
So in short, a hackathon is more like a gathering of software developers, coders, anybody in the IT space that will be brought to a certain area, to a certain venue. Whether it's a company, NPO, or even the government will give these developers a problem statement. And from that problem statement, they'll be given the task just to come up with an innovative solution to solve that challenge.
Well, for me, hacking actually goes beyond what the typical person thinks hacking is. For me, hacking really goes into finding a problem, breaking it down, trying to extract any solution possible, really challenging the problem itself and not letting the problem challenge you.
As much as the whole country is focusing on 4IR and building these, I would say, opportunities of software developers, coders, and everything of the like, we believe that a hackathon will give them more opportunities for them to not only just work as a developer, but to maybe to broaden their minds, to understand that there's bigger problems to solve that can be solved using their own skills.
Most of our solutions, I will be honest, involve incorporating, 4IR, medical 4IR, and especially if the country can get into that stage or to that position whereby we can use fourth industrial revolution to really speed up the process of healthcare.
So the brief that we were given is that the topic for this hackathon is to do with the healthcare sector, specifically how to minimize the lines and the queues within healthcare facilities and speed up the diagnostics process to ease the work of doctors and nurses and to advance the COVID-19 vaccine rollout. The number one problem in our healthcare facilities is that we are running on a mainly hard copy database, meaning when you go into a hospital or clinic, you stand before the receptionist and behind them is a huge cabinet files of just paperwork. So the solution to this is to digitize that data so that is available to any healthcare facility at any time.
So the solutions we're trying to develop is obviously eliminating the traffic in hospitals, and how we intend on doing that is having mobile deliveries, also increasing the employment rates in rural areas. So trucks will go to the rural areas, they'll have a drop-off point and they'll give the medication to delivery bike people in the community. And when the person receives this medication, they will have an SSID number, which they will then have to dial into their mobile number to show that they received the medication.
As you know, the government is currently building multiple hospitals across the nation to provide healthcare for everybody in the rural communities, townships, and anyone who doesn't have access to it. But the problem that we still face is that as much as we're building these hospitals, what's the government doing, or what are we doing for the person who can't even afford to go to a government hospital? So that's what we're doing. We want to find innovative solutions to see how can the man who cannot afford to go to the public hospital still see how he can just to check on his health.
As connectivity is still quite expensive in South Africa, we need a lot more of these projects. Kaspersky says about 40% of South Africans who've had their data stolen online would pay ransom. The advice is that you don't pay ransom for this. They say about 19% of those that have done this don't even get their data back. As we do more work in business online, so are cyber criminals who are constantly trying to hack the systems of the businesses that hold our data. Entrepreneur Sanele Mhlongo says he's picked up attempted cyber attacks on his business in the past.
People sending messages that there are certain people that are asking for their numbers, they're asking for their emails, they're asking for their bank details.
The tech entrepreneur says his team picked up things early enough and they foiled them.
We knew very well that we have to tighten the walls in terms of our system online.
It's not just small business that fall prey to hackers. Remember the City Power website hack in 2019. Then there was a cyber attack on the city of Johannesburg. Big international companies like Twitter have been hacked too in the past. In South Africa, Kaspersky says about 42% of organizations who are victims of ransomware attacks pay the ransom asked for.
In the last 5 or 6 years, we've seen a move away from this being a mass attack on anybody unlucky enough to fall into their traps, much more towards targeting businesses specifically.
What would happen is that hackers would hold the data they've captured from your systems hostage. This could be names, email addresses, bank details, and other private information that belongs to clients of a particular business or entity. To get it back, they'd ask for cash or cryptocurrency like Bitcoin.
In most cases, what ransomware gangs do is they target backup infrastructure first to ensure that the customer has no way of restoring their information. That way, they know they will get the ransom paid because there are no copies of the data or the platform.
The advice is that this must not be paid.
Increasingly, ransomware attackers are not just encrypting the data and waiting for people to pay. What they do quite often now is steal the data, and then they will ratchet up the attack by trying to threaten the victims. They will say, well, look, if you don't pay us by a certain date, we will leak this information online, the information that we've stolen.
The problem with paying a ransom is you allow this enterprise to continue, and you fund their criminal activities by paying the ransom. By paying the ransom, they have money to further employ more cybercrime or buy exploits on the dark web. And this just makes the criminal empire succeed.
Kaspersky says their research found that 19% of South Africans that paid this ransom don't even get the data back in the end. It is SABC Network on Facebook, Twitter and Instagram News Network at sabc.co.za on email. After the break, we chat about a recent Facebook data breach. It is SABC Network on Facebook, Twitter and Instagram News Network at sabc.co.za on email. Welcome back. Now, in the past, Facebook has come under fire for its handling of user data. There was a problem with Cambridge Analytica when it turned out that some of the data were leaked to a private company, and some people alleged that the data was used in determining the outcome of an American election that could have led to Donald Trump being American president. Now, CEO and founder of Facebook, Mark Zuckerberg, was brought in front of American lawmakers. He had to answer a few questions there. He got into heavy trouble all over the world for this. Facebook promised to do better. And now it seems like there has been another data leak coming from Facebook. Now millions of users' emails and phone numbers has been leaked and has ended up in the public domain. To help us understand this better is Nelisa Ngulana, who is co-founder of Coding Mamas. Now Nelisa, thank you very much for being a part of our network. Maybe if you can start by telling us, so what do we know about the Facebook data leak?
At the beginning of April, more than 500 million pieces of data on Facebook, from Facebook were leaked. And Facebook has confirmed that this information was indeed leaked, but they are saying that the information is not from a recent data breach, that it's from the previous one. It's from a scrapping that happened in 2019. So basically the information that was leaked is literally people's information that's related to their profiles, but also information that was not made public on Facebook, which is something that's very important to note. So things like people's email addresses, people's phone numbers as well.
Nelisa, it's not the first time that this is happening. Would you say that social media organizations take the right kind of precautions to ensure that the data that belongs to their users does not end up in the public domain or in the wrong hands?
Part of obviously the contract users have with platforms is that platforms and companies will build in certain security measures to make sure that our information is protected. And Facebook particularly has been saying that since the Cambridge Analytica problem that happened back in 2016, they've been saying that they've built in new measures. So I'm not sure now who's telling the truth at this point, because Facebook also says that this data leak is not a recent thing. It happened before 2019. 2019 was when the last data breach they had, after which they were required to build in quite a few things. So if we go according to what they say, and that the data is in fact from 2019, then we then have to trust that since between 2019 and now, that their systems are a little bit more robust than they have been before.
Nelisa, you say you yourself have found that some of your data has been compromised in the past. Can you tell us about this?
I just maybe about an hour ago, I checked which data breaches my email address has been involved in, and in the last 7 years, my email address has appeared in more than 16 data breaches.
Is there any recourse with this for users of Facebook or any other similar platform?
I mean, I think part of the protection for us as users is obviously our regulators. For example, the EU as a bloc is launching a formal probe to check whether Facebook has broken the agreement that there is between them. So we rely on obviously the legislators to look after us in this case.
All right, Nelisa Ngulana, co-founder of Coding Mamas. Thank you very much for being a part of our network. And with that, let's take a quick break. It is the SABC Network on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. Welcome back. Let's have a look at what else made headlines in the technology world in the rest of the world.
Latif Sharona is running another test on a surface mount technology line that is being set up at the Gearbox Hub in Nairobi, Kenya. In simple terms, SMTs print electrical components onto circuit boards. The boards will then end up as Internet of Things devices that help manage the network of software, sensors, and hardware in many modern products.
We are at a critical moment in time. I'd actually call it an inflection when it comes to electronics manufacturing. Kenya has certain things that have made this to be the right time. We look at our youth. We have a wide foundation of youth that are trained in electronics, mechatronics engineering. We have a wide range of youth trained in software engineering. We have mobile money in Kenya and East Africa is pervasive. It's everywhere.
The hub has been commissioned through a private sector partnership to train and launch around 30,000 technicians into the market. Another win is the deal they have brokered for their mentees to build 28,000 smart greenhouses over 5 years. And now in France. Military training became high-tech for 80 French officer cadets who took part in drills along with robots in Saint-Cyr-Coude-Coudan camp in western France's Guyeur. The drills, which took place between March 29 and 31, saw cadets from the Army's EMIA military school drive robots using tablets and training alongside the machines. And now in the USA.
He's a 9-year-old.
Billionaire entrepreneur Elon Musk's neuroscience startup Neuralink released footage that it says shows a macaque monkey playing video games using a brain-computer interface implant.
So this Neuralink connects to neurons that are in her snout. So whenever she snuffles around and touches something with her snout, that sends out neural spikes, which are detected.
Co-founded by Musk in 2016, Neuralink aims to implant wireless brain-computer interfaces that include thousands of electrodes in the most complex human organ to help cure neurological conditions such as Alzheimer's, dementia, and spinal cord injuries, and ultimately fuse humankind with artificial intelligence.
Recently, we found out that Didi, a startup that's in the e-hailing service industry, is coming to Cape Town in South Africa. So this week, Tutapol is asking you what your favorite e-hailing service is. Now, 41% of those that responded to our poll, that is the majority, say it is Uber. At 36% are those of you who say Bolt. In the minority is 10%. Those people say Taxi Live Africa. There is another 13% of you who say you use other e-hailing services. All right, well, it would be great if you could tell us which of those other ones are as well. All right, and that's it. That's all we have for you. Find us on SABC Network on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. It's News Network at sabc.co.za on email. From me, Spumelele Zondi, and the rest of the network team, thank you very much for being a part of our network. Stay home and stay safe. It's good night.